right, we should be good. All right, everybody. Part 2 with Elise Reed. So we did the first part a couple weeks ago, right before it was the week of your fight. And let's start out with just telling everybody how you did, kind of go into some more of the detail.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I won. So it was a split decision. 3 5-minute rounds. It was a good exchange back and forth, and I came out with the W. So I'm now the CFFC champion for strawweight.
And you were telling me that you only had about 8%. Was it 8% or chance?
So the lowest was 8. The lowest was 8%, and 92. That was an interesting thing to see. Normally I'm the favorite, but then we did a group chat on Facebook, and Mr. K, my coach, told everybody to vote for me. So it got up to 15%, solid 15%, and yeah, that was that. I don't know what the betting odds were. I didn't look. I wish I would have, but I wasn't sure. We tried to look at it.
Yeah, you were a big underdog. This was supposed to be kind of like a stepping stone, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. She had fought for the organization before. She had 3 inches of reach. She was coming down a weight class. I was going up a weight class. Everything on paper should have told anybody that she was going to take it. So didn't happen.
So you go into the fight in the first round. What was that first? You get in there, imagine butterflies, little nerves until that first punch is thrown or first shot is taken, when the bell rang and you're ready to go.
Yeah. So even before the fight, you try to keep yourself as calm as possible, because obviously there's going to be nerves whether you're prepared or not prepared. So it's a lot of mid-striking and then sitting down and relaxing, visualizing a little bit. But, as soon as you get the gloves taped on with the duct tape, it's pretty much game time. I think we probably had maybe 3 minutes before the tape was done that we were in the cage. So then it's just reiterating what you already know. Hey, you've been doing this for 20 years and you've got the striking advantage. And but the first round was interesting because she pressed so much. She moved forward close to me so much. I didn't expect that. And she caught me with a really solid round kick, which, dazed me a bit. I definitely saw black for a split second, and then I was right back in it. But the first round was an interesting one. That was on looking back on it, it looks better than, how I felt, just because there was a lot of pressure. But I adjusted as necessary. First round is always a good test of how the rest of the fight's gonna go. Yeah, for sure.
Where did she catch you with the roundhouse?
Left side of the head. It was a really solid slap. If you watch the fight, you'll know exactly the kick that I'm talking about, because I was backing up and I was moving across the cage, and as I was moving across the cage, she kind of hit me with the kick. Thank goodness I was moving in the same direction that the kick was going. So it wasn't that I was colliding with the kick. I think that would have probably made it a little bit different, but I was moving away from the kick and she was kind of swinging her foot across. But yeah, it was a solid shot for sure. Kudos to her for getting that one kick in.
So you go in, so that's round 1, right? You get a little dazed.
Yeah.
And once you realize her tactics was going to be a little different than you expected, what was it like going into round 2 and 3? Explain how
Well, so so when you talk about feeding the inside and the outside, inside is when they're going to the strong side. So you're going to the right hand. Outside is when you're going to the left side or the lead side. So a dangerous fight is when you always go to the inside. You always go to their strong side. And fighters will kind of feed that because they'll want to try to catch you with the right hand or their dominant side. And she fed that. So she gave me that one avenue the whole time. And I really Mr. Kid's probably gonna kill me, but I really like going to the inside. I always move inside. I always like throwing square, getting squared off. And so she fed that the second round. And I started to use my kicks a little bit more as well, because I knew that she was gonna press and I wanted to keep a little bit of space and keep myself active. So those were the two adjustmts that we made, or I made, in terms of the second round, was using the kicks, because I am a striker, and as much as she had a good height advantage, I've been doing Taekwondo since I was 6. So it's very challenging for people to catch up with all of the kind of innate muscle memory that I have in terms of kicking and range. So those were the two things. She fed the inside, so I went inside. I had some really good flurries there, and I threw some kicks. I doubled up on kicks, which is crazy for an MMA fight to throw 2 kicks at once on one leg, but it happened. So.
Okay. And then you go into the final round. Was it in your mind, okay, did you have to knock her out? Did you feel like you were in control as long as you controlled that third round? Like, what was the mindset down to finish?
So I always want to finish. So I was always looking for the finish. I don't like to coast at all. I've only had, I think, 3 decisions, and I even this last one where it's, a great outcome. I hate decisions. I hate not knowing and leaving it up to the judges. So I was going for the finish. I wasn't necessarily sure how the rounds were going because I knew that they were fairly even, and obviously exchanging and having hit and striking back gives a little bit different perspective than somebody watching it. But I never felt out of control, so to speak. So I never felt like I was completely out or overwhelmed throughout the entire fight, which was a good feeling to have, right? Because if you're completely overwhelmed, you're probably losing. But I went in there to press and to do the same thing, to take advantage of those flurries that I had in the second round. Didn't happen, finish didn't happen, but I did enough to get the W. So we'll work on it moving forward.
Nice. When that final bell rang and it goes to a decision, were you pretty confident at that point, or because she was the favorite, were you like, oh man?
Kudos to the PA Commission and KJ Fury, because I thought that I didn't have it. I thought it was too close to call that I decisively had it. And Mr. K was like, hey, he was telling me, he's like, hey, that was a good round, like good stuff. Cause we did everything that was kind of talked about. But it was so close. I was like, it's not going to go my way. So, if you couldn't tell, I was a bit surprised, happily surprised, but a bit surprised when it was a split decision, in my direction. So, it's definitely a weird perspective, fighting and getting hit back and having that type of feedback versus, somebody watching it and be able to see it from an outside perspective. And without the audience, every single time I did a flurry or I did something and I hit her, I didn't have that feedback of people being like, oh man, like that was a good hit. It was like dead silent. So that was a little interesting to play off as well. So not super confident, but Mr. K was confident. So, I mean.
Well, you get the W, so now you're the champ.
I am, yes.
Which is fantastic. We'll go over what's going to the next fights in a couple minutes. So you finished the fight. You got to be on like 5. Tell us about the rest of that night.
Well, I danced myself out of the cage, and I don't dance. I mean, obviously, I was, my feet were swollen a little bit. You don't really feel anything until probably 2-3 days after. So at that point, we took a lot of photos. I don't think I said the best language. I might have cussed a few times. But it was photos. The interview was great. And then it was just hanging out with my parents had a hotel room really close by, so it was just hanging out with them. And I think I got a Zoom call together with my water polo teammates, and it was just kind of enjoying the moment for sure. There were some adult beverages, but enjoying the moment, yeah.
Sure. Were you able to sleep that night?
No. I think I went to bed at 3, and I probably woke up at like 7. No.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's such a high and low.
Yeah.
I mean, it's surreal.
So, yeah, I can only imagine. So now your life kind of goes to the next level, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I saw this next day, I believe, right? The next day.
Yeah.
And I could tell you had that energy, and you brought the belt in. If most people don't know, the belt is a pretty cool thing to behold. It's actually very, like, it's actually a cool thing. Like, I don't know, in my mind, I always pictured a toy ones like I was telling you that I had when I was a kid. They're real light, but this is like real solid metal, really cool. Talk about a little bit, you know, obviously you were banged up a little bit, right, that next day. Talk about the physical toll it took on your body. Where are you at now? Because you're only, what, a week and a half out, right, roughly, from that fight. So where's your body at? Where's your mind at?
So my body's probably 90% minus that the one side. I mean, I'm not sore. Any of the bruises kind of have gone away. So I'd say I'm mentally and physically really close to just getting back in there. I think I've been working out since, I think I took maybe 2 days off, 3 days off, and then I was, you know, upper body is where it's at right now. But no, I mean, physically I'm good, and it also attests to the weight cut that I had. It was only a few pounds. It wasn't like a 105 division, so 115 is a little easier for me to physically recover from. In terms of mentally, I know that I have to oftentimes take time to just like enjoy what just happened, and I instead am very, okay, so what's next? So what are we doing next? And this is a kind of a point where we just gotta let it wait a little bit, let it fester. So I have things planned, obviously, for the future in terms of the MMA world already. But no, I'm like ready to get back in there. I mean, the saying is you're only as good as your last fight. So as much as, you know, the last fight was great and amazing, and I'll probably watch it another 2-3 times, I'm only good as my last one. So now I gotta work myself up so the next one is, you know, even better and has a solid highlight reel. And so that's where mindset and physical are pretty much in the same game plan. We're just moving forward. Yeah.
And were you surprised or not surprised that, okay, you win, and now all of a sudden more options, more opportunity came your way? I think you said that night you had people calling you, you know, to kind of figure, you know, they want you to.
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's you know, it can be a little overwhelming. I knew that this is what I had an idea that this is what was going to happen, because the person that I fought, Jasmine, was planning on going to the UFC, or is trying to go to the UFC, and was going to use the belt to help her get there. So the person that I'm fighting, or plan to fight, was going to use the title to get up to the UFC, to the, you know, best promotion in the country, right, or in the world, arguably. So me beating that and doing that kind of puts me in the same position, a little bit less, because obviously I'm just a 2-0 fighter, so I still have some work to do. But I had a feeling that was going to be a response. Now we're in it though. Now it's, you know, we were saying go big, go home, and now it's go big because we didn't go home. So it's all good, but yeah, a little overwhelming. Obviously, very exciting. You know, I've been working towards this since 2013, so it's a matter of time before it happened, and now this is it. So that's about it.
All that work.
Crazy. Yes, absolutely. And it's like, because I always thought about, okay, so I definitely see myself being able to be a champion. I can, you know, work in the gym, grind it. As a 2-0 fighter, to be a CFFC champion, I want to say it's never happened before. I don't know the history exactly, but my assumption is that maybe 1 to 2 people have done it before. So we went from 0 to 100 real quick.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. Now, I'm used to, like, kid, right, watching the heavyweight boxing, you know, Mike Tyson, those Evander Holyfield, George Foreman. And the reason I'm bringing it up is those guys at that time would maybe fight twice a year once they got to that. So as a professional fighter at your age, 27, correct?
Yeah.
Like, how many times can you fight a year, or are you willing to fight this year?
Well, my coach knows the answer is pretty much as often as I can. I'm in, at least right now, I'm in the mindset where I have to build a record at this point. I mean, if they keep being big fights like the one I just had, then I won't necessarily need to, and maybe my record will be really, really light compared to others, just because of the previous experience. But ideally, I would like 3 to 4, which is a lot. 3 to 4. But it depends again on if I get injured or how well I'm able to recover. I mean, as an amateur, I had a fight set for October that fell through, and then I went November, December, and then February. And November was Thanksgiving, and December was like middle of December, and then it was February 1st. So, I mean, I've done fights really close together before. And it obviously depends on the damage that I take and where my body is physically, but it'll probably be more like 1 to 2. Maybe 2. We'll see. But I mean, it's been about a year since I got the call for the first one. So I've done 2 this year. If I can get one in October, November, then that'll be kind of bringing it around to 2 again. So as often as I can, but sometimes it's not in the cards. You know,
on the cards. And as you have more success and climb higher up, you're going to fight less often. Right? Is that how it goes? Yeah. Which I mean, I don't mind. I have other activities, but sure. In this spot right now, where I only have 2 fights as a pro, I gotta build it up just a little bit. And they're 2 really good fights, but I gotta build it up just a little bit. Okay. You gotta build the resume a little more.
Yeah, some highlight reels. Like I get those highlight reels.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, like guys can even. Cool. Where can they go to watch the fight?
So UFC Fight Pass. UFC Fight Pass. So they have the whole event on there, and the whole event has the interview at the end, and then they just have the fight itself on there as well. So UFC Fight Pass. It's what I've been using to rewatch it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go back to that. Now, speak a little bit of something I wanted to ask. I figured we were kind of waiting for this time. Talk a lot about Mr. K. He's your coach and mentor. Am I correct?
Yes. Yeah. So he. So I started martial arts when I was 6 because I wanted to be a Power Ranger, and he was the lead instructor at. It was UTA at the time, United Taekwondo Academy. I want to say it was like 1998 or 99. Anyways, he was my instructor. And then when I was 14, I started to work for him because I wanted to be an instructor. And since then, we've been kind of business partners a little bit. So I bought one of the schools from him in 2018. So he's been lifelong friend, coach, trainer, instructor. Just we've been on this whole journey together pretty much. So yeah. So he's done a lot of work to earn the praise.
And what does that mean for you to have a mentor like that? Like, what's the importance of having a mentor like that for you?
It's I'm obviously very grateful because he's somebody that knows me to the point where sometimes I don't know myself as well, right? He can call me out on stuff that I'm doing and not realize it. It's a good check and balance, but it's also just understanding that his success is my success and my success is his, and I think we feed off that a lot. Yeah, we're just a solid team, and again, we started this in 2013 just because, and in terms of fighting, that's where we're at, and now there's 2 schools that are open, so I think we just build off each other, and I think that's something really important to do.
Yeah, for sure. And it's inspiring to hear about, to see how that. I was since 2013, but just listening to your journey, inspiring. Last thing we'll go over for today, right? So you got your next fights potentially in the works. Just talk, because you had this vision. You had this vision in this particular journey beginning in 2013. How about success? Like, what's your mindset like success for people out there that might not have any fighting, but they want in their life, but they know, man, do that, but it's going to take a long time. Or what's your success mindset like? What do you think about success and all that?
So it's interesting that you say that, because I did a speech at VMI about grit and the understanding of grit and kind of that mental toughness, so to speak. And so I've thought about it a little bit more, I think, than most. And I've just always been open to opportunity. And I think that's, you know, I in terms of MMA, we're talking a lot about MMA. I mean, we started in 2013. I think I maybe wrote in my journal 3 years later that I was going to be a professional athlete. Little did I know that it was actually going to happen, right? But I think visualization and having an idea of what success looks like, maybe not fine-tuned to exactly how it's going to work. I think that's important, but I also think never saying no to opportunity, or, you know, very rarely saying no to an opportunity that challenges you or makes you think something differently, because a lot of times in college, or, you know, when I was kind of struggling, I didn't really know what my success was going to look like. But they're like, hey, do you want to do this? Yes, I'll do that leadership position. And it's brought me to where I am here. So I think success is just making a positive move forward. And I think that's, as long as you're continuing to do that, whether it's something really little or something grand, they're going to end up adding to these, you know, crazy moments where you look back, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're here already, or I can't believe this happened. But it's, yeah, you know, motivation can come in and out. As long as those positive steps are moving forward, I think you'll find yourself successful, and hopefully more successful than you expect. But that's
And
it.
Yeah. With that grit mindset, what would be your advice to people that are trying to move forward, but then they hit a roadblock or adversity? How do you work through that?
Well, there's always going to be adversity. So to say that you're going to have a successful path and make it really easy isn't necessarily obvious. I mean, so to put that in a story a little bit, or a perspective. So I got done with military training. I graduated college. I knew I wanted to own a school. I wanted to fight. And then I was deployed overseas for 9 months to a year. And I could have taken that experience and been completely frustrated, because it just sidelined my whole vision, my whole plan for 9 months. Or I could try to find an opportunity to learn something from that, you know, hiatus, so to speak, of training and whatever else. So I think it's very cliche to say, but I think the struggles and the obstacles are there on purpose. And if you can rework your mind and your mentality to where you don't see it as a struggle, or you don't see it as, you know, this thing that's going to completely deter you from what you wanted, then it's another success story. So I've had those points where I'm like, man, this is really ruining everything that I thought was going to happen. And it doesn't. You just gotta kind of rewire your brain to think, you know, in a positive way and make some positive changes. So.
Yeah, rewire. Love that.
Yeah.
Great. Well, good stuff, Elise. We're going to stay tuned for the next fight. I would like to have you on again before that.
Yeah.
So I will be in touch about that. And again, people can go to Kickside MA, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got the notes again. And we're going to be having Elise at Newell Strength Price. Maybe if she's up for it, maybe do some self-defense stuff, just expose the business to our clientele.
Yeah.
So that's a cool thing. But keep up the great work, Elise. Very inspiring. Congratulations.
Thanks again.
Yeah. I'll see you soon.
Sounds good.
All right, Elise. Have a great day.
All right, you too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.